Napoli played tonight in the Champions League against Real Madrid. They went 1-0 up. Lorenzo Insigne scored a really nice goal. I've seen most of it. I saw the first half and then like the last 20 minutes, and I'm watching the second half now as we do this. So it looked so good early on, but they lost 3-1. What happened?
Yeah, I don't know. It's what happened. I guess Real Madrid happened. At the end of the day, they were always going to be that kind of quality, and there was a lot of positivity and everything around Napoli going into the match, which was kind of nice to see. I didn't think there'd be that much around him, but I think maybe it grounded a lot of us in terms of realizing that okay, it is away to Real Madrid, and they are just unfortunately on another level. Not to say that Napoli embarrassed themselves or anything by any means, and I'm sure we'll get into De Laurentiis' comments soon. But putting that aside, they did look a bit kind of awestruck at the start. They were a bit panicky. They were clearly nervous, and those kind of calm passes in midfield and at the back weren't quite coming off. They were losing possession in places where they usually wouldn't. But when in little patches on the ball, they did look good. So there was the potential there. And then when that ball came to Insigne and he shot, it was kind of incredible. We thought might actually go on. This might happen. But yeah, it wasn't to be. The start of the second half wasn't good. It gave them the opportunity. Obviously, they were slow out of the blocks and Real took advantage of it. And to be honest, in the first half, Real could have been a couple more up. They missed some opportunities. So look, Real Madrid were easily the better side, but 3-1, it's not over. I mean, they're not Arsenal or Barcelona, so they're still in the tie, and anything can happen at the San Paulo. But I don't think there's any reason to be too glum about it, to be honest. I think they had a reasonably good showing. I think they were just lacking that kind of experience at that level. I mean, with all due respect, it's not a Benfica or anything like that. This is Real Madrid. This is the top we're talking about. So, I think we need to put that into context as to their performance.
Yeah, I'd agree with that myself. I thought they did play well. They obviously took the lead early with a bit of a strange goal, and then I think Insigne's celebrations were a bit too maybe like passionate. It was kind of like real weight over their shoulders, and then it obviously was going to be hard to stick on with that. I think perhaps obviously I think the defence at Napoli is one of the weak points, and the fullbacks were somewhat exposed in that game. You saw they did seem to try and get it out wide quite a lot, Real Madrid, and yeah, but 2 goals, win 2-0 at home is enough. I think that's a decent enough situation to be in. Obviously, it could have been more, but Mertens had a chance to make it 3-2. And yeah, they went out and tried to play their own game. They obviously you can see that either way. You can say it's brave and they're like sticking to their philosophy, or it's naive where they should have just put people behind the ball and try to spoil it, but they didn't. And I thought, yeah, they played well. They showed what they're about. And overall, the better team won, but it's still in there. Obviously, St. Paulo is a very tough place to go, but yeah, it should still be interesting in the second leg. I thought Diawara did well on the ball, being young and not always the first player who's on the team sheet in Napoli, and is still all to play for. And any perhaps fallout that might be coming out from De Laurentiis straight afterwards seems a bit silly and premature at the moment, just counterproductive.
Yeah, I was really surprised to see Diawara was starting. You've just caught me with a little bit of chocolate in my hand there. I was trying to hide that.
So unprofessional.
Nick, you delayed the starting of the podcast because you were eating a sausage sizzle, whatever that is.
And it was a good one. Don't you worry about that.
I'm glad. I'm happy for you.
Continue.
But yeah, I was surprised that Diawara started, and then I was even more surprised when they went 1-0 up. Obviously, I wasn't able to watch it live, unfortunately, so I'm watching it backwards. Like I got home in time for the last 20 minutes, and then I saw the first half just before we started recording, and now I'm watching the middle bit that I haven't seen yet. So my viewing of this game is a bit distorted. But they did score an offside goal in the second half. Obviously, it was ruled out. It was offside correctly. But that would have made it 3-2. And I just feel if they went back to the San Paulo at 3-2, I'd be very confident, not just kind of optimistic. I would be extremely confident of Napoli turning this around. But as it stands, they're 3-1 down, so they've got the away goal, but Real Madrid will score. Napoli's defense isn't the strongest part of their team, and Real Madrid are phenomenal in attack. So there's no way they're not going to score when they play in Naples, in my opinion, anyway. So, Nick, do you reckon the 3-2 scoreline or the 3-1 scoreline, apologies, at the moment is too much to overturn?
It just seems like one goal, but it's so much of a difference. I'm completely with you that when they scored that offside goal, obviously it was disallowed, but I was in the city with Napoli fans and we all kind of went crazy and hugging each other, and then kind of saw the flag and then kind of had that feeling. And it was like that the last 10 minutes, it was just like, just one goal. And you would almost back them to do it at the San Paolo. Like, you just feel like it's meant to be almost. And yeah, the 2 goals just makes it so difficult. And as you said, like 2-0 sounds, in any other game, it sounds reasonably okay. But as you said, trying to defend that Real Madrid squad, and a squad that might even be added to with possibly Gareth Bale coming back, it's to the presumption that they could possibly keep them scoreless is a huge one. So, and then you think, well, they've got to at least score 3 then, to try and replicate that 3-1 result, turn it around. So it does make it so much difficult. I'm not going to say it's impossible. I'll say anything is still possible at the San Paolo, but it makes that one goal, just that one goal, that's all I needed. But to your point earlier, I might just kind of emphasize Diawara. I thought was absolutely amazing. I thought he was the best player on the pitch for Napoli. I mentioned before that Napoli seemed to almost be a bit panicky on the ball. They were nervous, but Diawara seemed to be the only one that would calm it down, and he was controlling that midfield and trying to get some kind of flow going. He seemed to be the only calm head when things were getting a bit hot. So every time I see him play again with Napoli, he impresses me more and more. I think he's such a good player, and at his age, to be playing at that position with that kind of like mindset is incredible. So amazing from Diawara for me.
Yeah, I'm just, as I said, catching up on it now, and I've just seen that Mertens chance that he missed. Oh,
that's it. You just put that on target and that changes the whole tie.
Yeah, big time. And I think it was Diawara actually who played the ball over the top to Zielinski to pull it back. So he's kind of proving, as you were speaking, what you were saying, which was kind of nice. You've both mentioned Aurelio De Laurentiis speaking out. I've got to complain, I have no idea what's happened here. So someone want to fill me in?
Well, he just sort of came out straight after, I guess in the heat of the moment. So I suppose he has that as a mitigating factor, because what he was saying just seems a bit silly. But he sort of said, I'm not going to come out and criticise the manager while coming out and criticising the manager, because he said, like he's there, he doesn't make these changes for this sort of big occasion. Then he kind of had a bit of a go at his players for their temperament, saying that they were sort of like just starstruck by playing against Real Madrid, other than Insigne, who had this sort of Neapolitan grit, and he scored a sneaky sort of goal, like a sort of proper little Neapolitan, just sort of being all cheeky in that. But it just seems a bit absurd. Like they're playing against Real Madrid away and they played fairly well, and just to sort of say they weren't Neapolitan enough, and that the manager had sort of somehow been at fault for basically sticking by his principles and doing what he always does, just seems like a very strange thing to do. It doesn't seem like it's going to really improve the spirit amongst his players for the rest of the season and the coaching staff. And I think Sarri said that he doesn't really mind him speaking, but he wants him to speak to him first rather than just go straight to the press. I mean, I don't know, perhaps it's some sort of ploy to achieve something else, but otherwise it just seems like a completely pointless thing to do. And they didn't disgrace themselves, they could still go through. And I just really don't understand why he's sort of got to create this controversy straight after.
Yeah, completely. I don't understand it at all. Even irrelevant of what your thoughts are on the match, whether you agree or disagree with his comments. I mean, to go out and say the manager could change his tactics once in a while. I don't understand some of his choices. Could have been 5-0, he actually said. And then say, oh, but I'm not going to criticize the manager. You just have, literally. It's just, I don't care what a president or anyone thinks about a match. Like, you have hired a manager to do a job. Like, you cannot get involved. And it's the same kind of thing with Berlusconi, who kind of got involved with Milan. And you see how that worked out. It does not work out good. They're completely different areas of a club, and they should be completely separate all the time. So I don't understand it, and it frustrates the hell out of me as a Serie A fan. You know, while I'm an Inter person, I'm passionate about Italian football, and it just seems like this is the kind of BS that happens in Italy so often. And how many times do you see this in England or Spain? Even you don't see it. I mean, it might be the odd thing, but it's just so synonymous, it seems, with Italian football. This kind of petty issues, and it's the football that we're seeing on the pitch is so much better than the crap that's going on outside of it. So it's disappointing as a football fan, to be honest. So I don't know what De Laurentiis is doing.
Yeah, it is like a sort of peculiarity of Italian football that you do hear a lot more of what the president thinks. They're much more important as a character. Like in English football, like you don't hear what the chairman thinks other than like a statement at Christmas. They don't talk to the press. No one. You just sort of expect them to provide the money and hire some people and not talk. But obviously in Italy, you've got De Laurentiis, famously sort of fiery character. Then you got like Ferrero at Sampdoria, and then just everyone talks. Yeah. It just, like, Sarri's done a fine job at Napoli. It was one game. They could have lost by more. They could have lost by fewer goals. They could have drawn. They could have won. Anything could happen to one game. It's just pointless to come out and start a war of words over that. And
the ridiculous thing, even more so for me, is that I don't even understand what he wanted Sarri to do. I mean, if he came out and just parked a bus and then Real just went to town on their defense, like, then what? Everyone would come out and be saying, why is Napoli playing like that? That's not how Napoli plays. Of course they got smashed. Like, Napoli, from the start, I wanted Napoli to go for it. And I mean, that's how Napoli plays. We've all seen them this season. Yes, their defense isn't great, but they win through their possession on the ball, through their attack, their offense. So I don't see why, irrelevant of the opposition, yes, it's possibly the best attack in the world, but you need to play your own game. And I don't even understand from that side of things what he even wanted. So it's on all sectors for me, it just seems very odd and kind of stupid.
Yeah, it does seem to be a bit of an Italian thing. Berlusconi came to mind straight away, Nick, when you were talking about it. And have either of you seen the documentary on Silvio Berlusconi on Netflix called My Way? No? Well, there's a scene in it where Berlusconi rocks up to the training ground at Milanello, and he walks into the dressing room and he starts, this is when Inzaghi's in charge, and Berlusconi's addressing the players as if he's a coach, and he starts telling them that they need to use the wings more. And then he turns to Inzaghi and he tells Inzaghi to repeat after him. So then Berlusconi shouts at the players and then turns to Inzaghi and says, you do it. And Inzaghi's clearly really embarrassed, but he obliges because he'd probably get sacked on the spot if he didn't. So he shouts, kind of holding back, and then Berlusconi goes, no, do it louder. So he does it louder, and then again that wasn't loud enough. So Berlusconi says, do it like you mean it. Do it like you were on the pitch. And then Inzaghi does it again. He's nearly blushing at this stage, and Berlusconi just looks at the players and goes, I did it better, didn't I? It's that type of character when they get the power, and it just really gets to the head that they need to realize, okay, they are putting money into the club and they make the decisions, but you are hiring a coach to take the on-field decisions. If you are such an expert, then don't hire a coach and take over that duty yourself. But yeah, it really frustrates me when you see owners coming out and saying stupid things like that. And I was kind of happy about tonight's game because I thought Napoli were okay, and then you've kind of annoyed me by informing me what De Laurentiis was up to